Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Today I wanted to talk a little bit more about this idea of impact. I know this whole podcast is built on the idea of being impact ready, and I often talk about what that means, but it essentially means that you are aware of the energy that you bring into a space and you are responsible for it, you are consistent, you are prepared. So you're essentially ready to impact just because it's who you are, it's the way that you live your life, and you have the habits and the practices and the mindset to support that. And we talk a lot about being able to harness your powerful impact and really like spread that around the world. But I was having some conversations with some colleagues a week ago, and we started talking about why it's important. Why do we care about having powerful impact? What does it matter? Why should you care in your life? It's interesting. A lot of people are kind of going through the motions, sort of going through life on autopilot. And many people don't think about their impact at all. They give no thought to it. They have very little awareness of their energy. They move about the world very reactively. So their influence, their energy, their impact is completely dependent on the circumstances of their day. So they might be really positive one day and really negative next day, really just depending on what happened, whether or not they had a great meeting with their boss, or they hit a bunch of traffic, or they got in a fight with their partner, or their kids being a jerk, or whatever it is. Just this reactivity is what dictates their ability to have powerful impact. So, why? Why do you care about this message? Why does it matter if people are impactful? Why does it matter if they're intentional? And I think for me, it comes down to two main reasons. One, humans have this really strong, deep core need to make life meaningful. They want things to feel significant in their life. We want to matter. And I think if you really ask yourself the question, does my life have meaning? Most people would be really sad if the answer was no. And the reason for that is because it's just how we're wired. We have a deep core need to make life meaningful and significant. We need to matter. And I feel that on a very deep level. I'm sure that you feel that. And we've all had times in our life where we feel like what we are doing, whether it's in work or relationships, we feel like it's not significant, like it doesn't have meaning, it doesn't matter. And that feels horrible. One of the most frustrating times in my life that I remember vividly was when I was 22 years old and I was working at a construction company in Portland. It was my first job out of college, corporate job. I loved the company. I loved all of my coworkers. I loved the corporate experience, but I was so incredibly frustrated by the fact that I didn't feel like I was contributing to anything. And I wasn't feeling much of a sense of meaning in my life, and it was horrible. I was miserable. I was anxious. I was frustrated. I was depressed. It's one of the things that drove me to acupuncture and Chinese medicine in graduate school is this incredible level of discomfort that I felt around the fact that I didn't feel like I was doing anything with my life. I was just going to my 9 to 5. And that's just my personal experience. There's nothing wrong with doing a corporate job. But for me, I was out of alignment with my purpose, which is to really be of service to people and help people with health and mindset and wellness. And so, all that to say, it comes back to this need to really feel like you are doing something that is purposeful, that you are contributing, and that your life has meaning and significance. So that's the first reason why it's so important that people have impact. Secondly, when we have powerful impact, that's when we get the life we want. I mean, truly, that is when we get the life we want because powerful impact means that we have great relationships, whether it's with colleagues or our partner or spouse, our kids. It's how we become great leaders who can motivate teams and inspire people and get unprecedented outcomes in our careers and our business. It's how we facilitate having great energy and vitality. And this is something that I talk about a lot, but is so crucial to people to be able to be mindful and intentional about taking care of ourselves and our habits that support our health. It allows for us to have access to this incredible vitality and energy. That is so, so powerful. And then finally, like it just strips away the struggle and the stress that so many people live in. So many people are living in this. And when you can really harness your powerful impact, it just helps shed all of that stress. So, as I was thinking about those two big reasons why it's important to think about your personal impact, I also thought about this cycle that I often talk about with clients. It starts with taking ownership. You know, I love this idea of radical ownership, which is all about taking responsibility for what's in your life, specifically your circumstances and your thoughts and your feelings and your behaviors. And this includes what happened in your past, and it includes your dreams, so your future. But this idea of taking ownership is sort of one of the key elements to having impact, because when you do, it gives you access to all of this power. Think about it this way. When you don't take ownership in your life, you then give away all your power and you make your solutions reliant on other people. Meaning, if I say, oh, well, it's this person's fault, that gives that person power over your outcome, because it's essentially saying it's not within me to change or control. Or if we say, oh, that person made me feel this way, or the economy is doing this to me, or the government, or my stepdad, or whoever it is, when we deny this idea of taking ownership of our life, we give our power away. And because of that, we then lose access to solutions. When we don't have personal power, we lose access to solutions in our life, and we get stuck in problems because the solutions then lie elsewhere. They lie outside of ourselves in all these external sources. And that feels bad. That's so disempowering. And as a result of that, it reduces our ability to impact and have powerful influence on people. Now, on the other side of this, when you claim ownership, when you take radical ownership of your life, you are then empowered. You are then standing in power, which then gives you access to solutions in your life. And as a result of that, you become a person of very powerful impact. So you have this self-perpetuating cycle that can be positive or negative, depending on the idea of, will I make the decision to take ownership in my life? And so it's one of the reasons why these two ideas are so intertwined, this idea of impact and ownership. They're intricately connected in my mind because they're dependent on each other. And so I just wanted to have a little discussion about this in order to continue to explain how powerful this really is, the potential of it, and the ability to have ripple effects on your communities that are so widespread it can impact hundreds or thousands or even millions of people. And we've seen this happen. We've seen how people can change their lives. They can make a decision to take control and stand in their power and have access to all these solutions. And then through their action, they have incredible impact that then just spreads farther than we could have ever imagined. And the thing is, we don't ever know when that's going to be, but you might be one decision away from that. You might be one decision away from having incredible, widespread impact on your community. And I think that's really powerful. So this isn't a long one today. I just wanted to add a little bit of further clarification to some of the meanderings of my brain around impact. I think about this stuff all the time, and I hope that it has you thinking about the potential for you to have powerful impact, because you are that person. You are a leader in your life. You matter. You are the only person who can be responsible for your energy. And I want the best for you. I want you to really stand in your energy and your vitality and know that you are whole and so capable. So thank you for listening today. I hope that this has you thinking about taking ownership, claiming personal power, finding your solutions, and going out there and having just crazy, incredible impact on your world. If you have questions or you have topics that you want to hear about, send me a message at stephsaffer.com and we'll just keep this rolling. I hope you have a great week. Thank you for listening. And as always, thank you for being ready to impact. Thanks for listening to Impact Ready. I hope today's episode inspired you to own your impact and recognize that you are powerful. By elevating our energy and awareness, we can create exponential change in this life. If you enjoyed today's insights, share them with a friend and subscribe to the show for more. I truly appreciate you. Thanks again for being here.